Evening to the Wood Green Church family. It's certainly a delightful pleasure and privilege to return back to this wonderful and warm and loving church family. It's been several years that have elapsed, but it's great to be back. The church still stands. Church rolls on. I see many familiar faces. I'm so grateful to be here with you for the next 2 weeks as we journey together in this experience of discovering God's plan for us to be healthy, happier, and to live longer, and not just longer, but to live forever. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Roberts, for that very heartfelt and generous, gracious words of introduction. God be the glory, and great to have met you, and look forward to get to know you some more as we journey together in this wonderful 2-week adventure. Now, it's amazing, there's always stories to tell, right? And I'm very conscious of everyone's time. I know that if you have to go to work tomorrow and you have to retire early and rise early in the morning, and given the traffic that I experienced today, and today is Sunday, I want to thank Elder Kunya and his dear wife, his first lady, for their wonderful patience and picking me up. And today, there's always a story, and I got to tell you the story before, always a preamble to the message. It's like the enemy did not want me to come here. First thing he did was he changed the plane, and he also changed the gate. So I'm waiting at the gate at my departure city, and I'm waiting there to receive the call. Next thing I know, I asked someone, "Where's everyone else?" "Oh, the gate has changed." So the gate changed, and I was able to move really quickly and get over there. And then when I got there, I said, "Okay, good, I made it." And then the lady at the counter said, "Oh, we have a plane change." So it further delayed. So it delayed our departure, it delayed my arrival. But I want to thank God that despite the delay, He always comes through. Amen. And I want to remind us today that sometimes there are those delays in our lives, but delay doesn't mean it's not coming. It doesn't mean that the answer is not coming. It doesn't mean that God is not going to come through. You just have to have a little bit more patience and trust Him. But let me not start preaching now. We can start. So I want to thank you, Elder Coney. I want to thank my gracious host, Sister Cheryl. And I don't want to put her on the spot. I want to thank her for her kindness and hospitality. She trusted me so much that she gave me the keys to the home. That's a very profound trust to actually to bestow upon someone, especially in the first 24 hours. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Well, without further ado and delay, we need to hasten to our presentation. Today I want to speak to you on the subject and title, and I believe this is the clicker. Thank you. And are we on? Yes. Oh, let's go back. Let's go back. So our title for this evening is How to Outlive Your Life. And does anyone know what the theme is for the 2 weeks that we will share together? What is our theme? The life that you've always wanted. I want to leave with you, first of all, a punchline. I want you to remember this as we commence our 2-week journey together. The purpose of your life is far greater than your own personal fulfillment. The purpose of your life is far greater than your own personal fulfillment. Hold on to that for a moment. Bookmark that. Stick a pin there. And I want you to follow with me. The purpose of your life is far greater than your own personal fulfillment. You good? Think we're good now? Should we use this? Okay. I want to share with you a story as we're working out the technicalities. His name was Richard Clark. Richard Clark went to visit his doctor, as many of us have before. And the doctor first asked him the question, how long he would like to live. Richard was only 35 years old, a time when he had just begun to notice his declining health. At that age of 25, he was experiencing decreased levels of energy. He had some love handles that he was trying to get rid of, but it started to appear around his midsection. and loaded him with an extra 25 pounds. Then crow's feet started to appear around his eyes. The doctor wondered, how long would you really like to live? He asked again. Richard repeated, until I'm about 85 or 90, if I'm in still good health. But if you're not in good health, the doctor asked, then how long would you want to live? Then I'm not sure, he said. Not that long anyway. Richard Clark also became aware that his blood pressure had a sharp elevation. His doctor warned him about his cholesterol and his lifestyle habits, and also reminded him of his family history, which included heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. Despite his doctor's advice, he continued to smoke, continued to eat whatever he saw. That was called the seafood diet. And like many people, they don't feel no pain or discomfort, and they continue to live the same way they live until something happens. Fortunately, Richard, at the age of 55, suffered a major heart attack, and he died, leaving his wife behind. I want to talk to you about, I know it sounds bleak, but it's going to get better. I want to talk to you about how to outlive your life. Now, some of you know some of these principles, and we're going to review some of these, and some of these things might be new. So today's message is an introduction into and a launching pad into what we're going to discuss for the next few moments together. So let me see if I can move beyond this here and go this way. So should I just hit this? Is that better? It's working now? Okay. So what is the secret to life and longevity? That's the question. Many people ask that question. And what is the elixir of life? And where can I drink from the fountain of youth? How many of you have asked some of these questions already? Is there a secret drink? Well, some say it's goji or akai or asai, as they say. Is there a power pill that you can take? Well, some people suggest it. Some people are selling it. People are buying it. Lock, stock, and barrel. Is there some medical technology or medicine that can make us or you and I live longer? That's the question. Is there such? Do you want to live long? How many of you want to live longer? Let me see your hands out there. How many of you want to live longer? I'm glad to hear that. Live longer. Live stronger. Live healthier. All right, that's good. Well, let's explore it together. Let's explore it. Abraham Lincoln, former U.S. president, of course, deceased, he once remarked, the health you enjoy is largely your choice. Largely your choice. Now, there are times when we cannot help because it runs in our family history. Somebody put it this way, that our genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. You've heard that one before. And so choice is very important. We are all predisposed. We're all vulnerable to many things that afflict or assail us that's in our environment. We can be exposed to toxins, to contaminants, to foods that we eat. Anything like that can affect us, including our family history. But if we try, with the help of God, if we try to make sound choices, intelligent choices, informed choices, the outcome indeed would be better. So, how should you postpone your funeral? How would you like to postpone your funeral? Two things are certain in life, as they say, and taxes. You've heard that before? Surely. How many funerals have you been to? Many, right? Thank God you haven't been to your own funeral yet. We don't want anyone to, yes. We don't want you to be conscious at your own funeral. But here it is. Why do we wait to go to a funeral and then regret how we live? Think about that for a moment. Think about that for a moment. How can, or what can you do to postpone your own funeral, is the question. It's often said many people dig their graves with their teeth, right? You know, it's so true. And food is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, it's made, it's appealing, it's delicious, but we got to be careful. But it's more than food. You eat could be. So let's explore a little bit more together. So here's 7. Now, sharing some secrets. They cost a lot of money, but they're coming to you free this evening. So, and see what appeals to you. Here are some 7 good health principles related to longevity. Number 1, get adequate rest. How many of you get enough sleep? I know it's tough. It's tough, right? I know it's tough. It's hard to get. I'm going to explore in a moment. Get regular physical activity. How many of you get out there and you walk and you exercise? Let me see. Some of you do that, right? It's wonderful. Yes. That's great. Let's keep that up. Choose healthy fats such as eating nuts daily. We're going to actually break all of these 7 points down for the next few moments together. Okay, we got to choose well. Eat more whole grain breads and cereals. Okay, that's very important. Okay, we gotta make sure that 5 weight. Okay, that's very important as well. Number 6, eat more plant-based foods. How about that one? Foods. And number 7, be free of dependence on tobacco, alcohol, and illicit drugs. And I'm sure none of us engage in such activity, or if we know anyone like that, then we need to encourage them to get off that. So let's further elaborate on those 7 principles. So firstly, 7 to 8 hours per day is recommended. How many of you get 7 to 8 hours? Really? Oh, wonderful. You all are doing very well here in London and Woodbury. This is wonderful. Time for relaxation and recreation daily. Now, sometimes you can't do it daily because you have a long day at work, at school. You're doing all of the above. And given the traffic I've seen on a Sunday, it's enough. I mean, Elder Kune was driving. I said, if I was driving, my blood pressure would be spiking right now. I'm telling you, you need patience. You need to know how to manage that stress. I'm telling you. And it's very interesting, the world we're living in. It has intensely. In fact, when I came here, approximately 6 years ago, it's busy, and it's become really busy now. More traffic, more congestion, more roads, more vehicles on the road, more people, and it's a very interesting. So we need to find a way to rest, to relax, and to de-stress. Gotta find it, or if not, it's going to affect us. Individuals, they say, according to studies, who get 7 to 8 hours sleep daily have better physical health, their body's health and reserves are restored during rest. That's when the body gets to, of course, replenish and recuperate and rejuvenate, better mental and emotional health, higher energy levels and productivity. Very important. Getting more rest. If you're feeling a hangover, not because you've drunk the night before, I'm talking about a hangover by sleep deprivation, and you're feeling haggard and fatigued, and some people, of course, it's diagnosed as chronic fatigue for many people. That's because you're not getting sufficient rest. The body is not able to recover from the amount of stress that is being placed upon it, that it has to manage. The stress that's being downloaded on your mind and body result lower mortality rates than those who get less than this amount. Therefore, those who get more rest have lower mortality rates, but those who don't get enough rest, they have higher mortality rates. Right? Now, lack of sleep is a major stressor, right? How many of you have experienced that? Affecting both your physical and mental health. Mental, so if you don't get enough sleep, your memory's impaired. Can I get a witness up in here today? Some of you haven't slept well and you're not thinking right or straight. Emotionally, a person is more easily upset or frustrated or get easily agitated. They're on the edge. You know anyone like that when they don't get enough rest? Social, difficult to get irritable. And they don't seem to, have that nice social ease and flow. Productivity shows less initiative and is less efficient. Safety, less alert, judgment impaired, more accidents occur. And overall health, your immune system becomes compromised and depressed, and you're more likely to catch a cold or flu. Now we're talking about, I was just giving a presentation about a couple of days ago on this. Of course, the rise of Ebola here around our world. It's now, an epidemic, and of course, other viruses that are surfacing, the enterovirus and other, very strong strains, resistant strains of the flu that have been mutated, and it's the flu. They can't find a cure for the flu. They go for these flu vaccines. How many of you take flu vaccines? Okay, so let me just make a disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor, but I will say this. The flu vaccines, they're really not effective. In fact, I remember one of my friends who took a flu vaccine, they were out for 2 weeks. They were in pain, they were sick, they were nauseated, they were dizzy, they had headaches. I said, did you have that before you took the vaccine? No. Side effects, right? The best way we're going to talk about it is the natural way, the natural remedies. You can be your own best doctor if we follow these simple, natural, yet proven and effective, evidence-based strategies for your health. Healthful living, living longer, stronger, healthier, and happier. That is God's design and desire for each one of us. So get fit, regular physical activity. It's hard, right? Life is busy sometimes, but we have to strive. We have to strive for that. So here's a study, and I don't want to bore you with details, but I want to give you some evidence. And you've probably seen it, heard it yourself, but in a study of 72,000 women, and this is just a study on women, hours per walking, and those who, of course, walk 5 hours or more per week, their relative risk or percentage of heart attack was significantly reduced to 41%. Imagine that. Those who didn't engage in walking. Now, walking, they say, is the best exercise. Now, it's not the only exercise. Swimming is wonderful. Aquatic exercises is good for cardiovascular health. But walking overall, why? Because walking engages all your muscles. As you walk, you do a brisk walk, you're swinging your arms, your legs. So it kind of engages your entire system. So from this study, you can see how important it is. Just walking. If you can't do running or swim, you don't have the time, do a brisk walking after you eat. 20 to 30 minute walk after that. Wonderful. Good for your health. Improves your digestion. So in most studies, we know that physical activity is the best predictor, according to studies, of longevity. People who live longer. On average, every hour you exercise increases your lifespan by 2 hours. How about that? You gonna try that now? Active people. This is according to the studies say, get sick less. They have more energy, they're more successful at weight management, cope better with stress and pressures, have less depression, and a more positive self-image. You know that one of the #1 killers is depression and mental health issues. One of the reasons why I wanted to add some more tools to my box as a pastor, and I went into psychotherapy, was I was finding so many people that I could not relate to. My own family and friends and members, and even of those that I didn't know, strangers, who were suffering mental health illnesses. I just couldn't help them. I felt compelled to continue to add some more tools to my box, and this is a big thing. And depression, so many people, not just people from all walks of life, all stratum of society, are affected by depression and mental health. Doctors, nurses, engineers, teachers, learned and unlearned, educated, in between, and everyone is affected by this, even children and youth. And we got to know the signs, and we got to do our best to try to curb that and bring healing to those conditions and states. Now, let's go on to the next one. Choose healthy fats. How many feel like that right there? Some of you from the Caribbean know what this is very well, right? You know what this is. Excellent, right? You can make many things with that. Some call it avocado, some call it pear, and etc., etc., etc. So choose healthy fats. Some people don't know what those healthy fats are. Most of you do know this. So this is a review for many of you. Look for non-hydrogenated vegetable oils. When you buy your margarine oil, look for, or whatever you buy on the label, make sure you learn to, okay? And we might, if we have time, we might go through in one more session how to do that really quickly. But healthy fat foods such as nuts. What kind of nuts? Today, yesterday I had some walnuts and some hazelnuts and some almonds. Of course, there's a study, and I'll share that with you later on. Studied, and the doctoral studies there was that major studies that came out of Loma Linda, and in fact, if you go online, you'll see published foremost studies by Dr. Joan Sabate on walnuts. Walnuts. Brilliant nut. You know, it's shaped like your brain. It's wonderful. How did the creator design it that way? With purpose and intentionality. Walnut oil, all walnuts, is excellent for your brain. It has omega-3, 6, and 9 essential fatty acids. And that, not only that, but it's non-hydrogenated, and of course, it's the good fat that we need. Okay? And those of you who took your cholesterol test, you know the difference between LDL and HDL, right? So you know LDL is what kind of, is that good or bad? Bad, correct. And HDL is what? Okay, so what LDL is low density lipoproteins, and HDL is high density lipoproteins. So these non-hydrogenated fats promote HDL, therefore managing your cholesterol and lowering the bad cholesterol. Okay, now you have to understand, as we go into the fuller dimensions, the wholeness of our message and topics for the next 2 weeks together, you will see a big picture that we talk about good and evil in the world, so good and evil. And we're going to make that connection and correlation. Limit all animal and solid fats. Limit, and I would even like to add an EL at the beginning, if you can, and an AT at the end. If you can only limit, but if you can also eliminate. Okay, so that's another thing. Look at this here for a moment. You know what that is? I hope no one here has this. But as we age, we have a narrowing of our arteries. This is a picture, magnified picture of a high intake of animal fat, which clogs the arteries. What we know it's called moderate atherosclerosis, and it clogs the arteries, resulting in heart attacks and strokes. Of course, this wouldn't be fair, but as you eat more saturated fats or hydrogenated fats, it actually narrowing and constricting blood flow. That's what happens. So that results in a heart attack or a stroke, or cardiac arrest, etc. Any heart-related, cardiovascular-related illnesses. So we need to be careful. So these are the fats you want to avoid, my friends, this evening, brothers and sisters, friends, ladies and gentlemen, here at Wood Green. This is what you want to avoid. Okay, let's keep going now. So nut consumption. Here's a study. I don't want to bore you with all of this, so I'm going to probably skip through this because of the interest of time. But essentially, this study is saying that those who ate nuts frequently had a 51% reduction in heart attacks and a 48% reduction in death from heart attack to ate nuts. So the king of nuts. Do you know what the king of nuts are? What's the king of nuts? Not quite. Soy nuts are good. King of nuts? That's right. King of nuts. So the top 3, you have almonds, walnuts, cashews is up there. I would say in the top 10. Top 10. Definitely top 10. Okay, you have Brazilian nuts, you have hazelnuts, okay? And eat them raw, eat them with their skin. It's very good because we're going to talk about it. Fiber and roughage are so important to keep us well and healthy. Because, it's not just about physical health, because your physical health impacts adversely your mental health and also impacts adversely your spiritual health. It is all interrelated and interconnected. So if one is not well physically, you cannot be well too long mentally and also too well spiritually. That's why we're talking about this, at least by way of introduction today, for our first evening, for our first meeting. So let's go on. Let's keep building our case. Here it is. Don't they look good? Example: almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts. I mentioned hazelnuts, pecans, and peanuts. Now, somebody used to argue that peanuts is not really a true peanut, because some say peanuts is a vegetable. Peanuts are good, but I would like to say peanuts are more lower on the totem pole. Okay? So these are the top nuts, and there's other nuts like pistachio. You like pistachios, right? I don't know if you have some favorite nuts, right? So of course, we're not saying that you go and eat a whole bag or a barrel of nuts in one day or in one serving. Okay? We have to be moderate in all things. My uncle used to take a bag of and eat the whole bag of peanuts, and all the evidence was the shell that was left behind. So you gotta be careful with that. And then, of course, sunflower seeds. How many of you like sunflower seeds? And you can do a lot. That's sunflower seed butter, and there's flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. I know some of you are very good cooks. I've tasted from your hands. I know that. So you use some of these things. Sesame seeds, excellent. Peanut and almond butter, tahini. These are good options. These are better options, healthier options than other commercial spreads out there that are commercially being sold in our supermarkets and groceries and in the markets, right? So, examples, of course, on hydrogenated vegetable oils such as canola, soy, and olive. So be selective. Margarine's free of trans fatty acids. Be careful. Olives, avocado, and not these great substitutions, healthier substitutions. All right. So eat more whole grain breads and cereals. How many of you try to do that? Eat more whole grain. Whole grain is so important. Dr. Burkett, he was known as the fiber doctor. And some of you have heard of the CHIP program with Dr. Hans Deal. I did an internship with him when I was in Loma Linda. And Dr. Hans Deal, as you know, he's famous for his CHIP program, the Coronary Health Improvement Project. Now he doesn't own it; it's bought over by Australia, and it's called Coronary. I can't remember what it's called right now. They kind of slightly changed it, but what it was is that he did his internship on the Dr. Burkett, who was the fiber doctor. And fiber, if you increase your fiber, it can do wonders to your health. Wonders, transform, reduce your cholesterol, increase, bowel movement if you have any constipation, because we live in a very constipated society. People are very stiff and I'm just saying, it's wonderful to know that whole grains are very good for you. I think I mentioned it here last time, wood grain. I remember, I think I mentioned this. I got this from one of the doctor, that the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. You heard that, right? So whole grain is the way to go. It's the way to go. Here's just a study. Some people are allergic to whole wheat. You might be gluten sensitive or intolerant rather, with celiac disease and all that. So, but this is just a study that shows that if you increase your whole wheat, and I think by extension whole grains, you will reduce your incidence of heart attacks and cardiovascular disease. So studies have been done. Whole grain, this is one on females, on women, 72,000, that's a large sample size. There you go. Those who 3+ more servings of whole grains, of course, reduce their risk, of course, of stroke. So the studies are there. We just need to put it into practice. Studies are there. So let's keep going. Now, healthy weight. We all strive to maintain a healthy weight. And by the way, those of you that I remember, you're all looking good, by the way. Very good. So you've been doing something really good. So, you want to keep your body mass index to 25 or less than 25, and that's sometimes a challenge, but okay, let's just quickly go back here. Waist girth for men, less than 37 inches, and for females, less than 35. But keep working at it if you're not there yet. Don't worry, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. And this is just a chart that shows, of course, what is the ideal. So if you look at yourself in inches, if you know how tall you are, you can have the corresponding BMI, and you'll see what is your range, okay? So you want to stay in this between here and there. That's your healthy range. And then tending toward this side is leaning toward the unhealthy side. So let's keep striving. Now, by the way, obesity is a major epidemic. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Back, should I take this off? Okay. Wonderful. So I won't strangle myself. Thank you. So here you have a healthy range, and this is on great. And let's keep going on. Let's keep building our case. So the good news about weight, if you need to lose weight, even a loss of 10 to 15 pounds, check this out, can make a big improvements to your health. Improve glucose levels, improve blood fat levels, improve blood pressure, significant decrease in health risk. Just a simple shedding of a few pounds. That would improve your health. You would see differences in your health. Let's keep going. Be active. If you can't get skinny, at least get built, right? So besides burning calories, exercise reduces your risk of diabetes, heart problems, and even cancer. Physical activity counteracts most of the health problems of excess fat weight. So just being physically active, this is very good. Whatever you do, whatever is comfortable for you, if it's walking with a friend, your family, whatever it is, get active, stay active. That's going to make a big difference. Choose lower calorie foods, like what? Fresh food, vegetables, salads, we know that, right? Non-fat, low-fat dairy or soy milk, almond milk, rice milk. Choose whole grain cereals, brown rice. Now, the big thing is quinoa. Have you heard of quinoa? Of course, right? Quinoa is one of the best sources of not only whole grain, but it also has protein. They call it a superfood. And there's brown quinoa, and there's white, and there's also red quinoa. In fact, the country that it hails from, or they're touted to be the world's largest producer and exporter of quinoa, is a country in South America called Bolivia. And Bolivia, there's other countries, but Bolivia, and what we noticed in a study that the Bolivians have higher incident, oh sorry, they have lower incidences of cholesterol, hypertension, stroke, heart disease because of their diet. It's very interesting. Out of all of the South American Latino countries, very interesting. So how could you live 10 years longer? Here's some starters to supercharge your health. Okay, really quickly. If you're taking notes, you can, or just memorize. Take 10,000 steps a day. How do you measure that? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to share that with you in a moment. Number 2, exercise. Don't think, just do it. 3, dark chocolate. I want to put a smile on somebody's face. Shown. Dark chocolate, sapphire, and cocoa. You know carob? How many of you have carob? Carob. You know carob? Carob is excellent. You know what Sister Duff is? You know carob, right? Yes, carob is excellent. It tastes just as good, if not better, than chocolate. Of course, if you knew what the process that they chocolate, they give Cadbury's and all of that, and what it's exposed to, and how many parts per million is in there, you wouldn't want to eat it again. Anyways, weight loss for reduced risk and management of arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis and joint problems and inflammation. Staying active also cuts Alzheimer's risk as well. So that's just some quick overview. Let's keep going. And low GI diet, glycemic index diet, better than low fat. So those of you who struggle with the blood glucose levels and all that. So here's what I'm talking about. How many of you seen this? How many of you have one of these? You have one of these? Pedometer. Very simple, inexpensive. You just clip it on your belt, on your waist. And you know what? It's a nice way for you to just measure your steps. So they say that to get some ostensible and some desirable health benefits, you want to arrive at about 10,000 steps. If you're in the range between 65 and upward, that's 6,500 upward, you're doing well. So if I want to challenge you to get out and get one of these at the health store or fitness store, wherever, recreation site, they're inexpensive, and it just helps to keep you track on your steps. And many of you do many steps, so it's a nice incentive to get you active, to stay active. Okay, let's keep going. So what are some foods in low glycemic index? Okay, so apples. Let's go on. Oranges, pears, peaches, peas and beans, lentils, and other legumes are very good for us. Barley and oatmeal, very good for us. And whole grain foods, breads, pastas during the week, but whole grain. Okay, so not refined, unrefined. These are lower in sweetener. Agave is excellent. Agave is very good. Stevia is very good too. Low in glycemic index. Okay, so top 5 ways to prevent Alzheimer's. How about this one here? Exercise regularly. Maintain friendships and social connections. Have a mentally challenging job or hobby. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. Stick to a healthy way. These are some ways that we can be the aging process, especially mentally. Not just Alzheimer's, but any neurological diseases that we are prone to or susceptible to. These are some ways. Nuts are very good, especially walnuts, very good for the brain. Okay, so eat more plant-based foods, right? Many studies. How many of you seen? I'm gonna show a clip maybe later on, not today. How many of you seen the documentary called Forks Over Knives? You've seen that here? Forks Over Knives? Have you seen it? Never seen it? I'm gonna do it. I may, if I have time this week, the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna show you a clip. Forks Over Knives was a documentary that was produced by 2 amazing world-renowned doctors. One is a medical doctor, one is a researcher, PhD from Cornell University, the other from Cleveland Clinic. Dr. Esselstyn and Dr. Oh boy, his name is slipping me right now. It'll come back to me. From the China study. Have you done the China study? The China study. He's the author of that book as well. Okay, Colin Campbell. Okay, Dr. Colin Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn, Caldwell Esselstyn. Those 2 doctors, they grew up on dairy farms eating beef, cheese, dairy. Throughout their careers, they decided, as they researched as the medical doctor, did many bypasses and cardiovascular operations and all that. And the other doctor, Cornell, biochemist and nutritionist, he studied the effects of dairy and meat. Guess what? About when they were in the 30s or 40s, they didn't adopt a plant-based diet. I met them at Loma Linda, both of them, towering over 6 feet, walking like a thoroughbred, and they're well into their 70s. They're over 75. If you look at them, and they're not even members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but they have adopted a plant-based diet, and they came to tell us that at Loma Linda. Imagine that, eh? Very interesting. But you could read his book, The China Study. Excellent. Both are in tip-top health. So plant-based diet, that's what they advocate, that's what they practice, that's what they live, and as a result, they're still living and they're healthy. And I'm going to pass through this really quickly. We know that smoking is very unhealthy for us. In fact, you know, we live in a world, you may not be smoking, but you're exposed to secondhand smoke and third-hand smoke. You know what? Okay, so we know what secondhand smoke is, right? So when you are in the presence of a smoker and you're inhaling, right? But what's third-hand smoke? Third-hand smoke is what you cannot see, invisible. Those who smoke and it has lodged in their clothing, okay? The chemicals there, the particles are there, and you smell it, and these particles are inhaled, they're airborne. That third-hand smoke. There was a lady, so sad, several years ago. She died of lung cancer. She never smoked a day in her life. She breathed in secondhand smoke and also third-hand smoke, because people were not allowed to smoke in the workplace, but they were smelling like smoke. She developed lung cancer. Lived for a few years, even with the lung cancer, because there was poor, and she changed her diet, but then there was a relapse and she died. It's so sad, but you got to be careful. So if someone's smoking around you, please either move yourself away or discontinue heal itself. It is amazing. So, what are some health practices of longevity? Good health practices study. Here's a study from Adventist Health Study, which was funded by the NIH, the National Institutes of Health. This is a 15-fund agency in the United States. They give a lot of money, millions of dollars every year for studies. And here's some good health practices. People practicing good health habits live 10 to longer than those who didn't. So we're talking about how to add 10 more years to your life. The average person could add 5 or more years to his or her life expectancy by adopting a healthier lifestyle. Just simple changes. Just taking some simple steps. It's not a rock science. You don't need a whole lot of money either. Those following a healthy lifestyle enjoy someone 20, 30 years younger than those not following a healthy lifestyle. Can you believe that? 20 to 30 years younger. Mortality rates were directly related to the number of poor health practices followed. So, how about in men? What are those practices? Check it out. Men, high level of physical activity. Women, high level of physical activity. Men, 8 nuts regularly, 5+ times per week. Women, maintain a healthy weight. Men, ate primarily a plant-based diet. Women, ate primarily a plant-based diet. Men, maintain a healthy weight. Women, 8 nuts regularly, 5+ servings times per week. So, as you can see, this is the comparison. This is what adds up. This is what pays off. People who maintain a healthy weight, get regular moderate activity, ate most fruits and vegetables, lived an extra 10 years compared to those who didn't. So how many of you want to live 10 years longer? But we're not just talking about chronological years. We're talking about 10 quality years of life. You see, people may live long, but they may not enjoy the quality of life. We want to live long and also enjoy the quality of our lives. You see, of course, today with our modern and advent of medical inventions and technology, people can live longer, but they suffer more. They have to be on medication for the rest of their lives. Their quality of life is severely handicapped and compromised. We don't have to necessarily walk down, travel down, live down that road or that street. We can choose to live longer and healthier if we make simple choices. What do you say out there?
Amen.
We can. We can. Okay, we're moving on now. 10 quick tips I want to share with you. Are you ready for it? So, freebie for you. Insist on good nutrition. You can't do any whole-face diet. The people out there, they're adopting that lifestyle. How about us who are privy to this information, who've been over many years, and they are adopting lifestyle. Today's science and medicine is proving that it is what our bodies were originally designed for. In fact, you'd be surprised. Dr. Esselstyn and Dr. Campbell, these highly respected, you can Google it tonight, you'll see their names. They determined that a plant-based diet was what our bodies were originally designed for. He grew up milking cows and drinking the milk and all that. And he said that the dairy and meat is dangerous. In fact, the casein in milk that is so destructive that compromises and breaks down, debilitates our immune system, that contributes to joint inflammation, arthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis, and to many other system disorders and failures just because of that over a period of time. Some of us, our bodies have been, of course, we become immune to it, but over time, it's called bioaccumulation. It will have a cumulative effect later on. Then we wonder, how did we contract this? How did we develop this? It's as a result of a progressive period of time. And these are really, well, these men are living the life and they prove it. So I'm so amazed by their testimony. 2, move. The only time you stop moving is when you're dead. So keep moving. Walk, jog, bench, stretch, bicycle, whatever you do. Climb stairs. If you're climbing stairs, please hold on to the rail. We don't want you to slip and fall. You know the old saying, use it or you will what? That's the truth. And it's still true today. Our bodies were meant to move. Your body lives and well dies by this motto as well. So let's keep going. Number 3, here it is. Have a plan. Long-lived, happy people tend to live with purpose. I gave you that opening line. We'll go back to it before we close. They live with purpose, not by accident. Live life on purpose, not by accident. Find yours and go for it. As they say, live life on purpose, not by accident. I run ahead of myself. 4, rest. Enjoy time to slow down. Today was such a beautiful day in London.
Yes.
One of the most beautiful days. I came in, the sun was shining. I felt the lovely, beautiful breeze blowing. It was such a beautiful day. Try to enjoy it. Take time. Reduce the wear and tear on the body, mind, and spirit. Rest gene. Now, I got to tell you about this one. Did you know this one? I'll tell you about this one. It's called RE1, silencing transcription factor. Did you know that the Creator produced, created, installed, encoded in our DNA a rest gene?
Yes.
And guess which day it is most activated? I think I told you about that, right? We will come back to that. This is brilliant. We're just scratching, today's just introduction, right? We're just scratching the surface. Number 5, don't overdo it. More is not always better, especially when it comes to food, work, or exercise. Daily and moderate should describe our healthy routine. Number 6, plant-based diet. Keep antioxidants up. They fight cancer. What are some examples of antioxidants? You know what they are? Fruits, vegetables, the colorful ones especially, the dark green and orange and cruciferous, those are the ones that are loaded with what we call phytochemicals. That's amazing. Phytochemicals, right? They fight for us. Isn't that amazing? And somehow the researchers come up with phytochemicals. Every word has a meaning. Every name has a meaning. Phytochemicals. They are found in abundance in fruits and vegetables. It's amazing. It's out there for us. Socialize, be a part of a social network, part of a community, a faith group. Some of us here are all part of the church, some of us here are part of the church. Surround yourself with positive, not negative influences. If you surround yourself with negative, you'll start thinking negative, start acting negative, start behaving negative. We're going to talk about that. You're gonna have to cut off some negative people and negative circumstances in your life in order for you to be healthy. Worship. It was found that those who have a faith in God or faith and belief will go to church it positively contributes to their mental and emotional health. Studies have shown this. Absolutely. Number 9, reduce your stress. Learn to be patient. How many of you could use a little bit more patience? I know I can. Today, traveling last night, I learned to be patient. I'm supposed to leave, and now I lost a whole hour and a half. Patience is the virtue. Truly patient. Reduce levels of stress by exercise, reading a book, walking away from a situation instead of blowing up and getting angry. Avoid triggers. Watch those triggers. Anticipate the outcomes and take a massage. Have you taken a massage before? Massage is so good for you. Yes. I just had one the other day. Very nice. One of my members is a massage therapist. So they said, as long as you pastor at this church, your massages are free. So that's a good deal. And volunteer. You know, a lot of studies have been done on volunteering. Being a part of something that benefits others will benefit you. Some of you do feeding the hungry, clothing the homeless, you're down at the food bank. These things that we do come spontaneously, but when we do it, it does something not only for others, but it does something for ourselves. That's the reciprocal relationship that we call the mutual health benefit exchange that takes place. So we're moving now to the end. We're almost wrapping up here. So how do you find power to make the change? That's our final question for this evening. We talked about a lot of things today, and you may not even remember half of them. But how do we make the change? Change is the hardest. Change is very difficult. Sometimes you don't feel like making a change. You just feel like throwing the towel, putting your hand under a book or a magazine or a newspaper and forgetting about it. Change is hard. You're comfortable where you are. How do you change? How do you change instead of getting into that coffin? You gotta be thankful though. Be thankful. First thing is your attitude. We're gonna talk about that. Your attitude. This morning, you didn't wake up in a prison cell. You didn't wake up in a coffin or a casket. You didn't wake up in a sick bag. You woke up in your right mind. Be thankful. Amen. We're going to talk about that. How about your New Year's resolutions? Have you fulfilled them? We're approaching a new year now. We're just coming down to the close of this year. Are you fulfilling your New Year's resolutions? We have free will to choose. You want the healthy bowl, and you want that nice chocolate cake there with custard and all that. It's good too. But you gotta make choices every day. Choices are all around us, and we gotta choose. Habits tie us down. We gotta create. We have to develop the right habits. Break the bad habits. But the only way to break a bad habit, you can't just break it, right? You can't just drop the habit, expect it to fall and break. You can't just cut it. You know how you break a bad habit? By replacing it with a good habit. Yeah. That's how we are hardwired psychologically and physiologically. That's what studies have shown. The only way to change a bad habit is to replace it with a positive habit. It's the only way, because that habit is so embedded, it's ingrained, it's ensconced in our minds. It's become part of our psyche that the only way is to reprogram it by replacing it with a good habit. It's the only way. And we'll talk about that later on when we talk about emotional health and emotional intelligence in our subsequent presentation. So how habits form very quickly, as we know, in the mind right here, in the deep part of the brain, the central part of the brain, and we'll discover and explore that more in our subsequent presentation, part of the brain called the limbic system, where these habits are so formed and they shape our behavior. That's what we practice, that's how we act, because they are established there. And we've got to reproduce them, replace them. Habits, tying a shoelace, right? You didn't learn to tie a shoelace just by osmosis. You practiced, right? It became perfect. Tying a tie, whatever you do, habits becomes our path. We think about things. We think about many things. What should we do? We shall be individually for time and eternity what our habits make us, somebody will say. Think about that. Think about your lives right. Take a moment. Do you like the life that you're living right now? Are there some habits in your lives that you would like to change with the help of God and with your willpower to choose? Are there some habits that you want to break? Some things that you want to change in your life? Do you want to outlive your life? Do you want to add 10 more years to your life? Yes, you can. You can. You can break some addictions and bad habits because it's not impossible. Mark Twain said it this way: to cease smoking was the easiest thing I ever did. I ought to know because I've done it 1,000 times. You live long. The habit is a hard thing to break, right? A very hard thing to break. So, what do? We need power. Here is a plug, power source, right here. But it's no good to any one of us unless we plug in to the source. You've got to plug in. So as I close today's presentation, here are some practical steps to help us to plug in. How do you plug in? How do you plug in? Some people, most people, some people pray. I hope we all pray here today. I hope we pray. Praying is very important. In fact, I'll share with you later on, there have been clinical studies about prayer, and it has proven that prayer, those who engage in this prayer, meditation, and communion, it has lowered their cholesterol, lowered their blood pressure, lowered their stress level. It's amazing. Because prayer, they concluded, is therapeutic and good for health. Prayer. You gotta plug into the power source. Behold, the Bible says here, in Jeremiah 32, verse 27, behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? There's nothing too hard. God cares. So how does God work? He works in many ways. God is faithful. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says this. And he will not let you be tempted beyond your strength, but with the temptation also provide a way of escape that you may be able to bear it. You don't have to do it alone. We need strength. Sometimes we need power above us and beyond us and external to us, because there's some habits that I've been practicing for a long time and I cannot break it. But there is good news that we can break it because he makes every provision for us. Cooperate with God. Put your hand in his hands. Whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're going through, he is able. He is able. Decide to change. Now, God cannot do that for you. You've got to do that for yourself. You need to be, as Gandhi said, the change you wish to see in this world. You've got to change yourself. You've got to decide to change. I want to change today by the help of God, by the grace of God, by the power of God. I want to change. If you will to change, you will begin the process of change. You'll begin. Make a clean break. You got to say no. Where do you draw the line? It's not a dashed line or perforated line. You've got to draw a solid line. What's that solid line for you? Make that clean break. I don't know how we got in there. Moderation. Moderation. Everything. Temperance. Right? That's a principle that should be practiced. In everything, moderation and temperance. Right? Make a clean break. And be moderate in all things. Say no. Occasional indulgence. Maybe you can treat yourself every now and then, but practice temperance. Abstaining entirely from that which is harmful and using wisely that which is good. That's what we want to practice and promote and exemplify. This is what we got to do. You got to plug in. Plug in. I was having a problem one day. I didn't know why my computer wasn't turning on. I had my adapter there. I thought the battery had gone or something had burnt out. But when I looked at the back, it was not plugged in. It simply wasn't plugged in. You've got to learn to plug into the power source. That's where you will get that constant supply of power so your battery won't die and so that you won't die. We need that power. So ask. If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask? In Matthew 7, verse 11. Ask. And it will be given to you. Just ask. Ask. Believe. You've got to believe. Believe and receive. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them. Mark chapter 11, verse 24. Very simple, but try it. Practice it. It will make a difference. Then, 3, make no provision to fail. You know what that saying goes? If you what? Fail to what? If you plan to what? Fail, you fail to plan. No one wants to fail. So you've got to plan not to fail. Here's a text. Romans 13, verse 14 says this. Let's read it together. Put on the what? Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for what? The flesh to gratify its desires. Got to decide. And you've got to stand by your decision. Say no. Say no. Choose well. Choose wisely. We must persevere. And don't give up and give in. Lifesavers. How many of you like that? Lifesavers. How many of you have lifesavers? Ever had lifesavers before? What I like about lifesavers, I like the name of lifesavers. The flavor was good too. It had different colors. But I thought about lifesavers, and I thought about am I really, when I eat lifesavers, is it really saving my life? Or is it really killing me? Giving me more cavities and increasing my blood sugar and all of that. Lifesavers. And I thought of it from of course it's not healthy with all these artificial flavors, but I like the concept of lifesavers. And I thought about lifesavers. And there are some lifesavers I want to leave with you before we close here. The simple 8 laws. You know it already. Quick review for many of you. But here, take it and receive it and then practice it. Lifesaver 1, nutrition, which you already know already. Lifesaver 2, exercise. Lifesaver 3, water. Lifesaver 4, sunshine. Vitamin D, which we need, which is essential. Lifesaver 5, temperance. Lifesaver 6, air. Lifesaver 7, rest. And lifesaver 8, trust in divine power. And of course, you know the acronym, you've seen it, you've heard it, and that's simply this: the new start. New start. I believe in our journey, the next 2 weeks, I want us to all experience a new start. A new start in our health. You can outlive your life. You can live 10 years longer if you choose to. In conclusion, let me share with you a story. But here are these 2 lines I want to leave with you. Do your daily health choices make a difference in how long you live and in the degree of your health you enjoy? What do you think out there? You better believe it. It sure does. Health is not everything, but without it, everything is nothing. I open with a line. The purpose of your life is far greater than your personal fulfillment. In line with our theme for the next 2 weeks, the life you've always wanted. We're going to explore that together. I want to share with you a closing story. And this last text. Proverbs 23, verse 7. You remember this text? Here it is. For as a person what? Thinks in their what? Heart, so is he or she. That's the truth. What am I saying? I'm closing with this. I'm closing with this story. Your attitude, of course, makes the most difference here this evening and throughout your life. J.C. Penney. You remember J.C. Penney? I'm going to share with you this closing story. The genius behind one of the world's greatest chain department stores had worked hard and he built his business. You know J.C. Penney. Those of you who've been to America, I don't think they have it here. But in America, he built his business to a multi-million-dollar level. Then he lost $40 million in the stock market crash of 1929. By 1932, when he was 46 years old, he was forced to sell to satisfy his creditors. This left him virtually broke and bankrupt. He worried so much that he couldn't sleep. The stress from his chronic fatigue depressed his immune system so much so that he suffered a relapse of chickenpox virus that had been dormant in his body since he had it from a child, or rash as a child. This reoccurrence we now call shingles, and it causes severe pain. He was admitted to the hospital. Penny began to recover, though, very slowly physically. Yet, he was broken even more so mentally and overwhelmed by the fear of death, because he didn't expect to live much longer. He wrote farewell letters to his wife, his son, and his close friends. The next morning, singing from the hospital chapel was heard and awakened him. Penny got out of bed, got dressed, followed the music to its source, and sat down in the back of the chapel, and the staff sang the well-known hymn, "Be not dismayed, whate'er betide, God will take care of you." He said as he wrote this note, and I'm going to quote it, "I felt as if I'd been instantly lifted out of darkness, out of a dungeon, into a warm, brilliant sunlight. I felt as if I had been transformed from hell to paradise. I felt the power of God like I've never felt it before. I realized that I alone was responsible for all my troubles. I knew that God with his love was there to help me. From this day, from that day to this day, my life has been free from worry." That's what he says. "I am 71 years old, and the most dramatic and glorious minutes of my life were those I spent in that chapel in the morning." As a result of his experience, of course, he became a Christian, a believer. Penny rebuilt his financial empire to well over the $1 billion mark, as you may have heard the story. He lived long enough to celebrate his 95th birthday. So, choices, his attitude. What's your attitude today? The Word of God declares, in John 10, verse 10. I want you to believe this evening as we leave. I am come. I am come. I am come that you might have life and have it how? More abundantly. Abundant living in your health, in your home, in your family, in your finances, in your emotions. He has come to give you abundant life, not only tomorrow, not for eternity, but here and now. And you and I can experience abundant living. How many of you want to experience abundant living? If that's your heart's desire, I want to stand to your feet with me this evening as we close. You can do all things through Christ, who gives you strength. Abundant life is free to all who believe and receive. Bow your heads with me and close your eyes this evening. Gracious Heavenly Father, Creator of all great and good things, and thank you for the gift of life that you've given to each one of us. We thank you for the privilege to be alive this evening. We thank you that we are breathing, we're moving, we're walking. We're grateful, O Lord, to be in the land of the living today. Help us to count our blessings. Help us not to be ingrate and unthankful. But Lord, this evening, what we have learned today, may it challenge us to change. May we desire, as we've all stood, to receive that abundant life here and now. But not only here and now, but in the hereafter. Thank you for the privilege that we can be healthy and that we can be happy, that we can live longer and stronger. And I pray today that you will bless each one here today as we commence our journey in this series, The Life We've Always Wanted. Lord, may it begin with the right attitude, and that is allowing you to be first, best, and last, knowing that with you all things are possible. As we leave this place tonight, keep us under your bloodstained banner. Keep us in sound health, mind, body, and soul, until we have the privilege of meeting again on Wednesday evening, is our prayer. In the name of him who first loved us, let every child of God say, Amen. Amen. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday evening when we will explore the subject, the healthiest country to live in.